I was letting her know that whenever I get a referral from this person, I pay attention because they've actually been trained to speak in a way that really makes a difference. And she always attracts people that are leaving an impact and transforming lives. And you know, when you hear the heart of who they are, you just fall in love with them. So today's special speaker is Patricia, and Patricia, is it Cimino?
Cimino.
Cimino, okay. It's Italian, right? Is that Italian? Yeah. Yes, I was gonna say.
Capisce Italiano.
She's a certified life and mindset coach and professional speaker. She helps entrepreneurs and business professionals learn how to tap into what they really want, then bust through the mental and emotional blockways that get in the way. Does anybody else have mental stuff that gets in the way? Or is it just me? Okay. So I was really excited about that. She's passionate about empowering her audiences and clients to rethink about what's possible, extinguish the limiting beliefs that keep them in holding patterns of indecision, and inspire them to take action now, not someday. Patricia is an expert on international podcast programs, including iTunes, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. An entrepreneur at heart. Prior to coaching, Patricia was a social conscious business that stemmed from a passion of style and purpose to help children in need. Her product line was sold throughout the United States and helped fund libraries of books in the United States and South America. Oh, thank you for helping our children. Whether she's speaking to groups of 20 or hundreds, Patricia utilizes her unique approach to steep into neuroscience, positive psychology, and Eastern philosophies to create game-changing results, personal and professionally. Audiences appreciate how Patricia radiates high energy and infuses possibility and optimism into her presentation and her interaction with everyone she meets. So today's topic is be the CEO of your success, master your mindset, move forward now, and maximize your results. She says we're going to learn how to living in reactionary mode to the events of the day. These are the problems she's solving: self-doubt and sabotage, and playing small. We all get to learn about playing big. So if we can give her, this is sign language for clapping hands. If we can give her clapping hands. And Patricia, do you need a timer, or would you like a 5-10 minute warning, or you're all set?
I'm pretty good.
Okay, yep. Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shannon, and thank you, Nancy, and thank you all of you for having me here today. I want to start with this quote. Watch your words, watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your action. Watch your action, it becomes your habit. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu. If you're wondering what this quote has to do with your current results, you are in the right place, because I'm going to help you with that today. I am Patricia Cimino. I'm a certified life and mindset coach, a professional speaker, and the creator of a program called Visibility 360. I help business professionals bust the roadblocks with an unconventional method that exponentially increases their results. Welcome to Be the CEO of Your Success. Master your mindset, move forward, and maximize your results. Today, I want to reveal to you the 3 costly mistakes that professionals make that keep them stuck in self-doubt, focusing on the wrong things, and playing small. Today, I want to share with you 3 powerful strategies to help you get laser focused and moving quickly. Plus, I'm going to share with you a simple little thing that you can do to access your own inner power. But first, I want to thank you for being proactive with your personal and your professional growth. There's a lot of places you could be at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, and you chose to be here. And so I'm going to do my very best to make sure that your time is well spent. I am 100% committed to helping you create your internal roadmap to success. My clients love my tips, and I know that you will too. So I'm going to ask for like thumbs up or show of hands. May I share with you why it is that I'm so passionate to help individuals flourish and thrive? Yes, awesome. We all have a life journey that has brought us to this exact moment. A lot of people will look at me and they'll say, oh, she's just Patty positive. She just sees the glass half full. That's just who she is. She was born that way. And that is just not the case. I want to share with you a little story of who I was just up until 10 years ago, when my oldest son was 12 years old. I'm from Chicago. We were living in a suburb of Chicago. And when he was 12 years old, he wanted to go to a high school that was a few towns away from where we lived. So all the people that lived in our town had to take a train and then a bus to get to this particular high school. So he negotiated with his friends, older siblings, that he would meet them at the train station on the morning of the shadow day, and they would accompany him on the train and the bus to the school. So we got up bright and early. We headed down to the train station at 6:30 in the morning. Now at 6:30 in the morning, there were commuters starting to gather on the platform. And inside of the train station, there was a little cafe. And I said, Michael, let's go inside and just grab a little something for you to keep in your backpack. As I was paying for the little something for Michael and went to look over and hand it to him, Michael was gone. I'd scanned the whole interior of that cafe. No Michael. I thought, well, maybe he went into the bathroom. Go check the bathrooms. No Michael. So then I go back out to the platform that previously had commuters waiting on it, and it's completely empty. And the only thing that I see is the back end of the train about a half a mile down heading eastbound. So I go back into the train station. I went up to the ticket booth and I'm like, sir, when does that train stop in Riverside? And he looked at me and he said, ma'am, that is a nonstop train to Union Station, downtown Chicago. In that moment, my heart felt like it leaped outside of my body. It was pounding so hard and so fast. Union Station is the fourth busiest station in the U.S. 120,000 commuters pass through Union Station every single day. And all I could think of was my little 12-year-old, no cell phone on him at the time, no cell phone on me. All I could think of is him getting off one of the 80 train tracks and not knowing where the heck he was among a sea of commuters marching like ants marching. All I could think of was, oh my gosh, I'm never going to see my son again. Someone's going to abduct him. I am never going to see him. And then on top of that, all of the negative sabotaging thoughts about what a horrible mom I am, right? I got in my car and I drove home, and what is only 4 miles from the train station to my house felt like forever. When I got home and opened the door, my husband was standing there, floodgate of tears dripping down my face, trying to get the words out. You're not going to believe what happened. You're not going to believe what happened. And my husband looked at me and he said, stop. And I said, but you don't understand. I lost Michael. We lost Michael. And he said to me, stop. Michael is okay. Michael is okay. When he got on the train, he realized his friends weren't there. He found a parent that he knew, one of his friend's fathers, sat down next to him and asked him when the train stopped in Riverside. And in that moment, he said to him, you're on the wrong train. He called my husband and said, I will accompany him until we get into Chicago, and then I'll put him on the right train to head back out to Riverside where you can meet him. Now, there's a great quote by Mark Twain that goes like this. I've lived a long life and I've had many troubles, most of which have never happened. Can you relate? Give me a show of hands if you can relate to your head going to the worst case scenario. Shortly after that, I realized I lived like that on the regular. My mind would go to the worst case scenario, whether it was professionally or personally. I was sitting in a lot of fear and doubt along my journey in life. And I couldn't understand why I could be so positive for everybody else. But up here in this little temple, it was negative. And that was affecting the results that I was getting in my life. It started to even affect my health. And I knew in that moment that I needed to change something. So I got started on changing myself. I scoured books, I scoured podcasts. I've always been into personal development, but I really dug deep. And then I worked with coaches to help me see some of the things that I couldn't see for myself. And I learned strategies that radically shifted how I think, how I feel, and how I show up. Ultimately changing the results that I get in my life and in my business. And today I'm grateful because I get to help other professionals radically shift their perspective, and along with that, shift their inner dialogue, and then focus on their owning their own power, their inner being, as they go after their goals and dreams. So as we get started, I just want to start with going over a few simple agreements. May I do that? Yeah? Okay, so before we get started, I'm going to ask that we hold all the questions till the end, and then I promise I will stay to answer any questions that you have. During the course of my presentation, I'm going to throw out some questions, and you can either do this for yes, or you can drop it in the chat box. The second thing is that I'm going to share a lot of good stuff. So make sure that you have a pen and a paper to write down any aha moments, any insights, or anything, action steps that you want to take going forward. And then the third thing is that at the end of my presentation, I have a special gift to offer, so stick around to the end. So now we can get started on the first costly mistake that most professionals make. And that is being unintentional with their goals. So how many times have you written out your goals for the month, quarter, or year? And then you've got your to-do list, what you need to do to attain those goals. And then it's go time. You start taking action, you start checking off the boxes, going after your goals, not really thinking consciously about who you are as you're going after your goals, just making sure you get that check box marked, right? How many of you have experienced that? Hands up. Yeah. So it's like almost like, we're rushing to get that goal to then feel something, to feel accomplished, or to feel proud of ourselves. Instead of being intentional about who you're being on your journey to hitting those goals. So I want to share with you the first strategy, and that is to be intentional. And I'm going to give you a 3-step process for how you can be intentional. So when we are being intentional, we're setting the stage for ourselves. And I'm going to share with you 3 questions that you can ask yourself to set the stage for yourself. So the first question is to ask yourself, who do I want to be? So we'll use your professional role. Who do I want to be in my professional role, right? I remember the first time when someone said this to me, I thought, well, I know who I am. I'm Patricia Cimino. It's like, no, who do you want to be? Who I want to be is a transformational coach that changes people's lives. So who is it that you want to be? And this is important, right? So when you're showing up online, who do you want to be? When you're out at a networking event, who do you want to be? When you're talking to clients or prospects or team members, who do you want to be? Then the second question is, how do I want to feel when I'm being the person I want to be, right? So I want to feel confident when I'm being the transformational coach that changes people's lives. So how do you want to feel when you're going into that networking event in the professional role, your professional role? How do you want to feel when you're showing up online? How do you want to feel when you're communicating with your team or your clients? Decide that ahead of time. And then the third question to ask yourself is, what is my desired internal outcome? So at the end of the day or at the end of the meeting, how do I want to feel internally after it's over? So for me, I want to feel like I nailed it, Like I hit it 150%, right? For my clients. So how do you want to feel after you've left the networking event? How do you want to feel internally after you show up and you do a Facebook Live? How do you want to feel after you walk away from a meeting with a client? Deciding who you want to be, how you want to feel, and what your desired internal outcome is so powerful because you're deciding it ahead of time before the thing happens. You're not living in reactionary mode, right, to the events of the day. You're deciding ahead of time who you're being. So when those things do happen, you're grounded. You're grounded in yourself, right? So a while back in December, I hosted my first masterclass, and it was a success. I had a lot of people. I ended up, with new clients. So I thought, this is awesome. I'm going to do another one in January. January came, got all set up for my masterclass, started the masterclass, only to find out that 30 minutes into my masterclass, the microphone that I was using was not on. No one could hear me for 30 minutes. And in that moment, I wanted to go to that place of, oh my God, the sabotage, right? In that moment, when I saw my brain wanting to go there, I shifted over and remembered my intention. No, who am I going to be? I've got to show up as the transformational coach that changes people's lives, right? So I moved right back into my intention, albeit I was sweating, but that's okay. I told myself, I'm going to do it again. This is more practice. And I belted out that masterclass a second time. So can you see how staying grounded and deciding who it is that you want to be ahead of time can have an impact on how you show up? Yes? Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so that first one is be intentional. The second strategy, or the second costly mistake, is this unawareness that we have to our thoughts and our beliefs. We have between 60 and 80,000 thoughts a day. Those are conscious thoughts that we can hear and unconscious thoughts that we can't hear, that just go on default. Like when we go to start our car, we don't have to press the button. Our brain knows it. It's happening unconsciously. 60 to 80% or 1,000 thoughts. And the research has found that a whopping 95% of those thoughts are from yesterday. So maybe it's not Monday, maybe it's last week, maybe it's last month, maybe it's last year. The bottom line is we're ruminating in our past, things that have already been done and can't be undone, right? How much time we're spending in all those stories and dialogues that we're having in our mind. The research has further confirmed that a whopping 70% is negative. They've even coined the term negative bias, that as humans, your brain is prone to go to the negative more, 70% more than the positive. So all the more reason to become very aware of what it is that you are thinking and believing. Because the bottom line is, it's never our circumstances, it's never the people in our life that's causing us to feel the way we do. It's our thoughts about our circumstances and the people in our life that's making us feel the way we do. So it's not your industry that you're in, it's your thoughts about your industry that's making you feel the way you do. It's not the products or services that you're selling, it's your thoughts about the products and services that you're selling. It's not the clients or the prospects that have said no, it is your thoughts about the clients or the prospects that have said no. Getting a hold of understanding that it is your thinking and it can change is huge. So the second strategy is to train your brain. Train your brain to change your thinking about whatever it is that you are thinking about that's causing you to feel stuck or to feel limited. So about 25 years ago, science told us we were hardwired. But as of the last 25 years, they found that we are not. Through neuroplasticity, they have found that our brain is actually like a rubber band. It's malleable. It can be changed. But you have to be aware of what it is that you're trying to change before you can change it. So there's a part of our brain called the reticular activating system. RAS is what they call it for short. I like to call it our Google search. Because what happens is during the day, we have so much bits of information that comes to us, millions and millions of bits of information that we're absorbing. And there's no way our brain can handle all of it and remember all of it. So whatever we tell ourselves we're focusing on, our reticular activating system, which is like our Google, will send like a little antenna out, and it will filter out and look for the things that we are telling ourselves that we want to focus on. So it's super important to tell yourself to shift to the things that you want to see happen, not the things that you don't want to happen, right? So the tip number 2 is to focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. An example is, how many times have you said to yourself, I don't want to fail, right? When we say stuff like, I don't want to fail, your Google search is going up and it's gathering information, bringing it back down to you and showing you all the different ways that you can fail. Instead, send your focus to what you want. I want to succeed. Your Google search is going to do the same thing. It's going to go up, scan your information, grab all that, bring it back down to you and show you how you can succeed. So how many of you can visualize a best case scenario, a successful scenario with your work or your business? Hands up. Yeah, focus on that. Tip number 2. So the second strategy is to train your brain. The third costly mistake is playing small by not knowing or owning what your inner powers are. And I've created my own formula, what I call the trifecta of inner power. And it consists of 3 different things. It consists of, number 1, your strengths. What are your strengths? For a lot of people, when I ask clients, like, what do you think your strengths are? What are you good at? The answer is, I really don't know. And a lot of times we're so close to the things that are our strengths because they come so naturally to us. We think everybody has those strengths. Not true, right? So knowing your strengths and what you're good at is really important. There's Gallup Strength Finders. If you don't know that organization, you can take an assessment and you can find out what your strengths are. And the beauty of their whole philosophy and the truth behind it is that the things that we're strong in, we enjoy using and we use them naturally, right? And we get better and better at it. So spending time strengthening your strengths instead of trying to strengthen your weaknesses to be well-rounded, you're going to get much more traction focusing on strengthening your strengths. And then with the weaknesses, you can either choose to delete it, not do it, or delegate to someone else who can do it better. But taking that energy that you would have put over here and put it into strengthening your strengths is key. Now, sometimes clients will say, again, I don't know. And I'll tell them, you know what? Send a text out to your family and friends and ask them. And when you get the replies, you'll see a theme. You'll see a theme that comes through. So figure out what your strengths are. Then, are you using your strengths in your daily business activities? And if not, how can you bring them in to your daily activities? The second inner power is your values. What do you stand for? What is important to you? Your values determine your decisions. So if you ever notice that you're kind of wobbly, you're uncertain about making a decision, check in with your values. There might be something there that does not mesh with what your values are. Also, your goals. If your values are not aligned with your goals, it's going to be a hard target to hit. So check in with your values and make sure they're in alignment with your goals. A lot of times, again, with values, you can look at your credit card statements. You see, what are you spending your time, your money, and your energy on? That'll give you an indication of what it is you value. Also, take a look at like the people you're surrounding yourself with, right? They say that we're the average of the 5 people we surround ourselves with. If people in your circle are naysayers, glass half empty, they don't support your goals and dreams, it's going to be it's an in alignment of values, and it's going to be hard for you to be in that environment. And that is going to affect you because our circles influence us. So maybe it's time to look for another circle that values the same things that you do. The third superpower, which I think makes it and brings it all together, is our core desired feelings. Listen, everything that we do, all of the action that we take comes from how we feel. If you're feeling defeated, you're going to take probably no action or minimal action versus if you're feeling empowered. So you get to decide, just like the intention, you get to decide how you want to feel every single day. When we get up, we don't have to be just at the whims of the day. We can decide and be proactive and be intentional with how we want to feel as we start our day, right? And if you are feeling like you want to feel joy or confidence or inspiration, those are the positive emotions that are going to spark the action that you need to take towards your goals. So strengths, your top 5 strengths, your top 5 values, and your top 5 core desired feelings. Now, I'm not saying you have to use all 15 every day, but pick one from each category and notice, am I using my strengths in my day today? Is it aligning with my values, the thing that I'm working on? And what am I feeling like as I'm going after my goals? Those 3 things can really radically change how you show up. Can you see how that would elevate your inner power? Yeah? Awesome. So number 3 is to own your inner power. Okay. I threw one more thing in here as a little bonus strategy, and that is to evaluate everything. And what I mean by that is anytime you come out of a meeting or anytime you are walking away from a situation that's important to you, evaluate it. Even your week, evaluate it by doing these 3 things. Asking yourself, what went well today? What didn't go well? And what will I do differently next time? If we don't take the time to evaluate what we're doing, we just kind of keep recreating the wheel, getting the same results. But when we take that time to just evaluate what went well, what didn't go well, what will I do differently next time, we are put in a growth mindset, right? We are changing, shifting, tweaking what we've done to get a better outcome next time. So there we have it. And I'm going to now test you guys and ask for the recap. And you can either take your mic off or you can put it in the chat box. But who remembers what strategy number 1 is?
Be intentional.
Yes, be intentional. Awesome. What is strategy number 2?
How do I want to feel when I'm networking?
Train your brain.
Train your brain.
Okay.
Train your brain to what you want to focus on. What is strategy number 3?
Own your inner power.
Own your inner power. Know your strengths. Know your values and know your core desired feelings. And then what was our bonus?
Evaluate what happened today, what went well, what didn't go well.
And what we'll do differently next time. Yes, evaluate everything. Awesome. So who would like to learn more? Show of hands. Awesome. So as I mentioned, I'm offering a special gift, and that is that I've opened up 5 spaces for a breakthrough session, complimentary breakthrough session with me. Complimentary breakthrough session will just help you gain clarity. It will identify any blocks getting in the way of your work or your life, and we'll see what's possible with a plan to move forward. So I'm going to share on the screen really quickly the website that did I lose you?
No, we can see it. It's really large though. There we go. Perfect.
Okay, so that's the website you can go to apply for that call, because I've only got 5 spots for it. And I will also put it in the chat box too. And then I also wanted to share my social media sites and where you can, where you can find me, because I play a lot on social. I do a lot of lives. I give inspiration and strategies to thrive. So please connect with me online. That's where you can find me. And I want to open it up for questions. And I'm going to put those 2 things in the chat box as well. So I want to open up for questions. So what questions came up as I was sharing those strategies? Or aha moments, or anything that kind of stood out that surprised you?
I just had this crazy memory of the train your brain and how that's been a continual experience. And I got the opportunity to go on a wellness retreat with Dr. Gary Nolan. I remember him, this was a big piece that he was talking about. And he had us doing these exercises, and I was like exhausted with this one exercise at one point. And then he just did a little bit of mental stuff. And I think I went maybe a minute, the first round, hard ab stuff. And then the next round, after we talked about train your brain and what to do. And I went like almost 10. I mean, it was unbelievable what had happened, that physical power that came up once I dealt with the inner stuff. I mean, I couldn't believe the things are coming up. Oh, I'm getting tired. Oh, I can't do, I mean, it was just this constant stream. And he did that to share the consciousness that we, we're dealing with. So that was the fun. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. And you just mentioned something that I want to touch on real quickly. And that is that, like, everything has energy. This pencil has energy, this pen has energy, everything has energy, and our words have so much energy. The way that we're talking to ourselves, the actual words that construct our sentences have so much power. It has so much power. And so getting a hold of some of the words and some of the sentences that we're saying and shifting, maybe it's just tweaking one word, will help you feel better. Anything to help. Listen, we take all of our action, like I said, from how we feel. We want to put ourselves in a good feeling state. So if you're about to get on the phone with your boss or with a potential client, check in with how you're feeling first. And if you're not feeling your best, take a moment to reground. And a great way to reground is through breath work, just taking deep inhales and exhales. And regroup before you make that call, because I promise you, how you're feeling is going to be, the person on the other end will feel that energy.
Do you use meditation as well in your?
I love meditation.
Right.
I am a practicer of meditation. I used to teach yoga, and I got into a meditation practice about 5 years ago. And so, but when I share that with my clients or help them, I know, because I know when I first started, I thought, 20 minutes of sitting there, there's no way I could do that. And the way that I started was 1 minute.
Sorry.
1 minute a day, a month. So at 1 minute every single day for a month. And then the next month I added on another minute. So then it went to 2 minutes every day for a month. Then it went to 3. And by the end of 2 years, it went to 24 minutes. And I found my sweet spot, and I stopped at that. And that's what I practice. But even just connecting with your breath for 10 inhales and 10 exhales can be a beautiful way to start. Your breath brings your nervous system, calms your nervous system down. And when your nervous system is calmed down, you can think more clear. You can think more proactively. You get ideas, and your creativity starts to come. You find solutions. When we're in that space where it's fight or flight, all of that's shut down. Is there a reason why you asked, Geraldine? Do you have a practice?
No, I try to meditate daily. It doesn't happen daily because you get caught up with it. But I do know that it's becoming more and more mainstream, that people realize that meditation can change your day, literally, and your life,
Yeah,
so.
it can change your life. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I do it.
And the thing is once you do start doing it on the regular, when you miss it, if it's like for me, when I miss it, I feel off. Like there's something off.
I had
need to do that.
one more question. Does anybody else have a question? Because I don't want to take up the. So the evaluating everything, that is so huge. Like I've been hired as a consultant after events to go in and do debriefings. And I think that is like vital. That's a game changer. That's one of our greatest assets. I'm just curious how, because sometimes in that evaluating mode, there can be the inner critic that can be more damaging than the evaluation if people are new to this. Any suggestions on getting the evaluation and doing the evaluation, but managing that inner critic?
Yeah, so this is a whole new area that I'm diving into, and that is this inner voice area of listening to your inner voice, your inner wisdom, because your inner voice and your wisdom is always going to talk to you in very kind and loving ways, that when you hear that sabotage, you hear that critter brain, I call mine the general, always barking orders at me. When I hear that, I have to literally say, go sit in the corner. Like, what have I learned from this? And when I turn it into curiosity and what I've learned from it, look for the lesson in it, that helps me see that that's just my critter brain doing the thing that it does as a human, 70% negative, right? Does that make sense, Shannon?
Oh yeah, that's great. I love it. The general.
And the way, and here again, the way to get to from that critter to that inner knowing, that inner gentle place, is through your breath, right? Just slowing down and taking deep inhales, you come to that calmer place, that loving space within you, where you can open up your curiosity with kindness, not sabotage.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Patricia, so sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done. I was just checking in. Go
No,
ahead.
Donna Blevins is one that wrote the book and the 7-second mind shift. And it's right with the, breathing and switching, within seconds before you go into a meeting and all that. It is so true. And, the more you learn about it, the more you realize, my goodness, what took so long for us to learn all this, because it is life-changing.
Yeah.
Sure,
And just learning to shift from that worst case scenario. So here's another really great little tip. And when your brain is going into the worst case scenario, if it's going to spend 28 minutes in the worst case scenario, give yourself the opportunity to spend 28 minutes in the best case scenario, right? So level the playing fields out. If you're going to be over here swirling in this, make sure you're spending the same amount of time in the possibilities of what could happen, right? I'm telling you, I have been doing this and it has radically changed for me. Like, my brain automatically goes to that now. Yeah, are there moments where I think the worst case? Absolutely, I'm human, but I'm not swirling in at 70%. I've leveled out the playing fields and it feels so much better in this place. It's actually going like this now for me. And this is just practice. You can too. It's just, where are you putting, again, where do you want to focus?
Patricia, I'm just curious because I know time's running out. What did you ask your son, what possessed him to leave you to go on the train by himself? I'm just curious.
Yeah, because when we were standing there in the cafe, there's trains passing by, but he, as a 12-year-old, he didn't understand that at 6:30 in the morning, there's a lot of trains passing by. I knew that. There's a 6:30, there's a 6:35, there's a 7, right? I knew there were a bunch of trains coming, and I knew our train was at 6:45, so I wasn't worried about it. And he just got nervous and thought he was going to miss the train, so he ran out there. Yeah, and that's what happened.
I had a similar experience, and I thought I had lost him, and I didn't know how I was going to tell my husband, and I went frantic. And finally, it was right in the neighborhood. He had gone in there, and the neighbor was feeding him a hot dog. My son, 3 years old. I wanted to hang him upside down.
Right, you wanted to hang him, but look at that. Your brain would never have gone to that possibility, right?
Right.
So it's like constantly showing ourselves the opposite of what is what's possible. Right?
He had crossed over and I mean, really. So, my heart was beating. I'm glad I had a happy ending.
And how many times do we do that in our work and in our businesses, right? We think of the worst case scenario. Well, it's like just shifting over to what is possible. Like, what if the opposite happens? Like, what if they absolutely love me and they want to buy from me and they want my services and they want to keep me on retainer? Like, All those things are possible too. They're just as much possible as the worst case scenario. If we're going to spend all that energy over here in this negative stuff, wouldn't it feel better to spend that energy over here in what feels good?
Yes.
Right? And then you radiate, right? You magnetize, you radiate out, and people are attracted to that.
Yeah. Thank you, Patricia. I think Carolina had one more thing to share, and then we'll give you a round of applause and say our farewells.
Oh my gosh, I have been like all over the place. What happened, Patricia? I mean, I know that this is more like about me being intentional about my thoughts, my actions, and all that stuff. But what happened when something that is not aligned to your values, someone, is not what actually you feel like you don't like it. It's something that is wrong, something that that drains you. That is just like a double exercise to ignore it. You ignore it, because you cannot change it, and it's not like you run away. It's not like something that you just really
Yeah.
So
Yes, you get to decide. You get to decide how you want to feel about it. You get to decide what you want to think about it, right? You get to decide about that situation or that person, let's say. Like let's just say you want to say it's like a person, right? They're stuck in a certain way. Well, we can't control what's outside of us. The only thing that we have power over is ourselves. We can't control we can't control the pandemic, COVID. We can't control any of that, right? But we certainly can control how we think about COVID or how we think about the pandemic, right? Is that making sense? So you could sit and think about something and let it get the best of you and get really aggravated and frustrated, but you're going to sit in your own pain. And so how does that serve you? In that moment, you have to ask yourself, how is that going to serve me? I can accept what is. I can accept what is without any conditions and not having to control it. Does that make sense? Or am I adding more in that? Yeah. We always have control. We always have the power to choose. Always. And that makes the difference in everything. That's the gold. That's where the gold is, right there.
Beautiful. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you so much for giving us that gift of letting people have a strategy session with you. I know that those sessions, for me personally, especially with somebody like you, have been huge breakthroughs, financially and relationship. And so please, everybody, take a moment. This could be a gift that you don't really know until you actually do it. So with that, so we have the Mayor's Breakfast. It's June 18th, Nancy. That's correct?
Yes.
Yes, and we're getting close to sold out. So please mark your schedule or get your tickets, and then we will see you next month. Any final remarks, Nancy, before we say farewell?
No, we have a lot going on this week, so join us, and you can find all of that at greaterpompeychamber.com. It has all our calendar of events, and of course we have a physical copy here that Carolina always prints, so we are filling the white spaces, so you will not be bored. But we're hoping that you find both personal and professional development from all that we provide. This was fabulous today for both personal and professional. I mean, I think we all have situations at work where, yeah, you just need to take that breath and reset and then go into the calls, whatever it is. But I appreciate that, Patricia. That was wonderful. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And one last